my screen. Okay, so today we have a very interesting session about healthcare and pharma. And this time we're going to make it more interactive for you. We are going to have a couple of new interesting things. So this is part 3. In the first 2 parts, we have done financial services and manufacturing with Databricks and what are the industry challenges. We are going to do the same also for healthcare and pharma today, but we have 2 new interesting points on our agenda. So the third point here would be the challenges and opportunities and trends. Today I have with me 2 industry guests, 2 adastrans that know that they are knowing the industry very well. I have today with me, and they'll help me expose those challenges. And the second one is a live demo. We are going to train a machine learning model to spot pneumonia on X-rays using Databricks. So this is the 2 new agenda points that I mentioned, and that I would like to cover with you in this session. I believe both of them will be very, very interesting. With regards to the demo, I will not go into details and explain the code, but I'll explain what is the rationale behind of it, so what we are doing there. And we'll analyze the results, so where the model is doing good, where the model is not doing so well. Is a demo that that is really, really important for this industry, right? So let's get started. Healthcare and pharma. I'll skip a couple of slides because I don't need to introduce myself anymore. And as I said, this is a session part of the sales and go-to-market here, the second vertical that we have it on our Databricks book of work. Sales and go-to-market, healthcare, and the next one would be probably about energy, or maybe if it's more interesting to you, sales pitch playbooks or competitor advantage Databricks. For example, Databricks compared to Snowflake, compared to Fabric. So these 3 we still have it on our plate for the sales enablement. Then a couple of information about Databricks partnership. I sent an email a couple of weeks back, I believe. They are changing their partnership there. So as you probably know, we are right now elite in order to maintain our program, which will be called silver, gold, silver, bronze, and gold. Elite is actually gold in the new standards. They change also the parameters and the requirements. They're making a little bit more hard for companies to get to elite or to gold. And for that, we have also to do our part. One of the part there is to go to the Academy page, Partner Academy with Databricks, when you can use your own email address to log in here or to create an account. And it's very specific for sales people or go-to-market strategies is this part here. So once you log in, this is the startup page. You go here to GTM sales training, and you can find here relevant training for your market, including your vertical. So if you go scroll here down, competitive advantage, partner industry, you can see here, for example, what is the GenAI translation in this specific energy business or financial services or healthcare industry. So you can go inside there, very targeted on sales and go-to-market, less on the technology behind of it. So this is important to mention. And we go back to the slides. Maybe a couple of other updates with regards to the partnerships. I'm working with marketing to establish events around Europe. The next one will be a Databricks user group in Slovakia, in Bratislava. and we are also in talks to do it in Prague, so that we can bring also Databricks people and invite customers and potential customers to that event. So this is part of the marketing team. And with regards to the competency teams and offering I'm building right now, together with competency leads the professionalization of our offering with Databricks. So what kind of working packages or offering packages do we have to propose to our customers? For example, migration or solution accelerators or machine learning or data science kit or GenAI framework. So this is something that is specific so that you know what you can propose to our customers and what we are capable of. Okay, that's a partnership and Databricks platform. I'll skip this one. You can find it also in the slides after that. So you already know we are elite, we have database champions, a lot of certifications here. Databricks platform. This is more generic, not related to healthcare, but just for you to have an idea what kind of services are here presented in this diagram. So this is a generic architecture with the explanation on the right side. I'll explain this also in the manufacturing session. So I'll skip this. And now we are going to focus on our today's session, Databricks in healthcare and pharma sector, with two guests. So our two guests today, Jonas from Germany and Andre from Czech Republic. So welcome, gentlemen. I hope you are in the session.
Yes, we are. Good morning, George.
Hi, great to be here.
Hello, hi. So before we go into the technology, we're going to discuss also the use cases. Let's set up the reality in the industry. So healthcare and life science is one of the few sectors where you have to innovate fast and prove everything many times scientifically before you go to the market, right? And in our region in Europe, healthcare and lifestyle has a unique constraint. They have fragmented markets, strict regulation, budget is under pressure. So we're going to discuss this about this kind of combination on challenges in the market. But first, please take your time and introduce yourself.
Andre, do you want to start? Shall I?
I'll just go ahead. Hi, my name is Andre. I'm here at Adastra for something over a year at the moment, and I'm responsible for pharma healthcare here in the Czech Republic. Also insurance, but of course, pharma healthcare is the grow today.
Then let me proceed. So, hi everyone. My name is Jonas. I recently joined Adastra mid of January, so I'm still quite fresh, taking care of the industry sales for pharma and healthcare here in Germany and in Switzerland. Before joining Adastra, I was working for an IT consulting company purely focused on the pharma and life science industry. So that's why I have years of experience in that industry already, and happy to be here today and to have this open discussion with you guys.
Thank you, thank you. So that sounds really promising. By the way, welcome to Adastra. I also started in December, so a couple of months back. Let's start with some warm-up questions. So, from your experience, what part of this industry, healthcare and life science, do customers or do you spend most of your time in your role? So is it more biopharm or medical technology, or this sector more related to the payers or providers? Where is the most focus that you put right now, or the companies are putting right now in this sector?
Yeah, so if I can go first here, actually my main focus was in the last couple of years pretty much in the either medical or in the commercial departments within biopharma companies, mainly the top 20, if you like. I also worked for a couple of mid-sized companies, specifically in Germany and in Switzerland. But I would say the clear focus was commercial, medical in big pharma. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Andre?
Same goes for me. Mainly commercial pharma is I would say if you take the Pareto's law, it's 80%, healthcare is 20%. And pharma, just to give you a specific idea, the biggest clients that I'm working on are Zentiva and AstraZeneca. So
Mhm.
regular pharma, somewhat regular. But I do have some healthcare clients, for example, Agel here in the Czech Republic, which is a network of hospitals and clinics.
Oh, okay. So a direct contact with hospitals, not through clinics.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And you both mentioned the commercial part. So when transformation happens in this kind of parts in your segment, so who typically drives it in this industry? So who has the veto power? We know, for example, that maybe in manufacturing, the business people have the most power, but there are also sector where IT has the most power and the budget, and they have the veto, put it like this. So how is it in this industry? Who has the veto power? Is this the commercial, the clinical, or the manufacturing part? What's your take on this one?
Generally, I would say whoever brings the money. And in the pharma industry, also, this is mainly the commercial department. You do have also some impact, obviously, as this is a highly regulated industry coming from the regulatory space. Not so much from IT, I must say, because in the end, they are rather considered as a service provider, which enables business processes to work a certain way. But it's not like they are the ones making the decisions in the end for or against a specific technology, because this is mainly driven by, as I said, commercial and regulatory.
I totally agree. I totally agree because the business is always pushing for results, right? But what's good to know that business is what they say what they want, but IT sometimes they get to decide how they will deliver, right? So there is some decision power from IT, but it's not on what, it's on how to deliver to business.
Okay, so they can influence when it comes to technology stack, from their position, the technical position, they can decide which technology stack, but the business outcomes and the budget usually comes from the commercial and the business side, correct?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. And from your perspective, what are two, three biggest, let's say, structural pressure that this industry is facing right now? So healthcare and life science in Europe, right? So when we talk about, we heard about also on television maybe about lack of people that new people that is joining industry. For example, in hospitals, there's lack of personnel, or it's cost driving, it's regulation. So what are the two, three biggest structural pressure that you see it in the market in this one?
Andre, do you want to go first?
I'll go ahead. So I think the main, since this question is regarding Europe, right? I would say the regulation is one of the toughest thing to navigate within, right? Because and I might mention this throughout today. Like I feel like the regulation has a huge impact on the business processes in general. Everything is very robust, kind of slow, and there's no really room for non-transparent decision making from AI or data in general, right? So I would say that's the main pressure.
Yeah,
Fully agree to that statement. It depends a bit if you're working with clients who are also having a huge business in the US. Obviously, that's a bit more of a, let's say, Wild West mentality. Yeah, so there is more freedom to just try out stuff, which is also good in a certain way, because you are then also forced to do like deliver the latest technology, the latest ideas, which might work in the market, but it's not as highly regulated as it is in Europe. So you have definitely more challenges in Europe to, for example, if you're introducing a Gen AI workflow for whatever department, you will have always that necessity of having a full traceability of whatever this model provides you as an answer. Like you need to be able to also explain why this certain answer was given. And in the US, this is something completely different.
Okay. I see. So this, we'll come to the Gen AI part also in a couple of seconds. But
maybe on top of that, to have also one additional example, which maybe also bridges the gap between the US and Europe, is definitely the go-to-market. Yeah, as shorter this go-to-market can be, and then in the pharma industry, we're talking between 8 to 12 years of discovery phase of a new product until the product can be launched in the market. You can imagine how much revenue potential you might have if you're shortened this go-to-market by 1 or even 2 years. That's a very massive factor for the pharma industry all over the world, pretty much.
Okay. We'll come back to this use case because I also have it on my list, and we'll discuss a little bit more in details about it. So this, for example, with drug discovery or the trial period, because you need to find people to go on trial. So this kind of use case we're going to discuss more in details. When you talk about strategy, where does strategy collide with reality most often? Let's say what do leaders expect to happen and what actually happens on the ground? Are the expectation really aligned with what happens on the ground or in the implementation?
So maybe if I start here, where does the strategy or the reality collide with what the leaders expect? So I would say there's two key points from my side, from my experience, and one is deployment speed. I often, or the decision makers and the business that drive the what and not the how, they often expect fast results, but usually once you're building something longer, sustainable and scalable, it's really hard to just have it in a few hours, right? And it's no vibe coding. There's no real room for that. So I think that's number one. And then number two is that often the assumption of people that the repeated work that they do is one of the largest basically anchors of the company, right? So if a business person spends 3 hours per day doing repeated work that could be potentially automated, they often don't think about, okay, is another 100 people in the company solving the same problem? And I know that saving 3 hours a day would be a huge impact on them. But if they're the only one doing this task, it's only 3 hours per day for the whole company, and the ROI doesn't work out, right? So I would say that's where this collides sometimes, that there's a really good idea how to automate a business process, but once you quantify, it just doesn't make sense.
Fully agree to that statement. Just to add an additional example, maybe specifically for the commercial side of things, you need to understand that in the pharmaceutical industries, you're not allowed to advertise a product like you can do this in, I don't know, any other kind of industry. You do have a commercial team, like usually driven by a sales rep or like a sales force. And then you have a medical or MSL team, a medical team, which is also working together with a healthcare professional, or HCP, how we call it in the pharma industry. They have a similar way to approach a target HCP, but they are not really aligned because they have slightly different incentives, slightly different strategies behind that. So to align this would, from my perspective, be already like a huge potential for maximizing the efficiency throughout this process, because also for the HCP, you are then approached by two different persons from the same company with a approach which is not matching with each other. So that's one of the examples where you have a misalignment across teams. If you would manage this more efficiently, there would be definitely a gained value for the entire organization. The management sees this usually as like, guys, just sit together and align. But in reality, this is always not that simple. So you have definitely a misalignment across those teams, unfortunately.
Okay, I see. And how about data availability? Because I believe this industry also generates a lot of data from structured and unstructured data. Is mainly data availability a problem for this industry, or is basically more getting everything together, data being available but available in totally different systems? How did they mention this kind of pain points?
Yeah, I would say both. To be honest, you have a lot of data obviously available. Not all of the data should necessarily be always be available to everyone, which is again a problem if you're talking about a medical team and a commercial team covering the same HCP. In the end, you have then also something what we call pharmacovigilance, which is yet again another team within the organization. So you see there are a lot of data entry points where you collect data from your customers, just to stick with that example. Same goes for production, same goes for quality for the entire production processes and so on. But all of those data are siloed because they have to be siloed in a certain way. But to consolidate this data and make this maybe even anonymized would be a huge factor to increase the efficiency across the project processes. But here we do see most of the times very limited capabilities also within the organization to really work on that, to really push this to the next level, because by design they have to be siloed in a certain way. Andre, I don't know if this resonates also with your experience.
Yeah, I totally agree. I basically have nothing to add, right? This impacts the development speed that I was talking about. So exactly.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned about AI and machine learning. So just to have a basic understanding, what's the reputational or reputational impact if, let's say, one of these companies had an AI or machine learning, the classical machine learning model, and they could not explain the results properly, so end-to-end, for example, or their model is biased. So what could be a reputational impact on this company with comparison maybe to other industries, right, where this might not be so 100% impactful?
So I think from my perspective, the reputation of the firm is very, very important, right? So once you have an AI or ML model making decisions for or instead of a human, which would be considered against the EU AI Act, etc. That's like risking a huge reputation problem and driving sales and everything down, right? So all the competition will just make sure that everyone else knows that you are doing something illegal or wrong in general. So I think the reputation risk is really big.
I would agree to that statement. You also need to consider the fact that, at least that's my experience so far, the reputation for the pharmaceutical industry as a whole is maybe not as good as other industries, just by nature. But you need to also have in mind that for some diseases, Yeah, patients do not even have the chance to, I don't know, choose a product because maybe there is just one product out there in the market. So from that perspective, even if you would have a case where you have like, I don't know, wrong result given by a machine learning model, for example, the reputation damage could be dramatically, yes. But what I think is even more worse is that you are running into a compliance issue, because compliance violations can go from, okay, you get a fine for something which is still manageable, yeah, but it can also be existential quite soon, especially if you have a smaller company which do not have so many called blockbuster products where you have like a patent coverage for that. It's even more dramatic than that. On top of that, so I'm talking about RX products, so products which can be provided to a patient only if you have like that, how you say that, written form from your doctor that you should get this treatment. OTC is a different story. OTC means like everything you can buy freely in a pharmacy, like, I don't know, aspirin, for example. Yeah, there are tons of different products out there in the market where this reputation damage can hit more direct, I would say.
I see. Okay, so in this case, in this situation, because I believe that curiosity about AI and machine learning in this market is also big, right? So people and companies want to also try Gen AI, for example. Which 2-3 use cases are easiest to get funded today, and why do you think this is the case, given this big impact that might have it? So where do the customers start using this kind of technology today?
My personal opinion is, and maybe I'm biased because I was working in that field for quite some time, is definitely the commercial department. I'm also telling you why, because first of all, the entire sales force is rather expensive for the organization, and the measurable impact is not as transparent as any other sales force for any other industry. Yeah, because you cannot clearly measure, okay, I have so and so many sales reps out there in the market and I sold so and so many products, because it depends in the end on the prescription practice by the healthcare professional. Yeah, so you can just have an indirect sort of analysis done how good or bad the impact of your sales team is on the HCPs out there in the market. So whatever increases the efficiency of that sales team and whatever helps in the end the organization to use less of those sales force members out there in the field is something I would consider a low-hanging fruit, where you can definitely get more funding because it has a direct impact on their cost effectiveness.
Okay. So please go ahead, Andre.
From my experience, I totally agree. I also would maybe say that the funding can be highly likely once you come to the client with an idea that has already been implemented, and it doesn't have to be pharma specific. So in this case, you do need to know the pharma landscape. But coming in, right, the finance department works the very similar way to retail. Reporting, visualization, you do have some specifics, but you're still seeing sales, etc., as Jonas mentioned. So I just think, or you can have process automation via AI. So I think these can be really, really good cases which can open, and they don't even have to be pharma specific, but they are if they're highly likely to succeed.
Yeah. Okay. So this includes also, for example, maybe a combination between manufacturing and healthcare, where you have this supply chain, right? And you need to understand the full cycle of the supply chain of the pharma industry, for example. This might be also one relevant use case. So when we talk about Gen AI, for example, so they are looking for some low risk use cases, but that happens with high frequency, right? So that you mentioned, Andre, the return of investment is worth for them. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
And so what use case sounds exciting but usually fail from commercial perspective? So you mentioned at the beginning that yeah, they have some very good idea, but it sounds good on paper because it didn't have that ROI impact in the end. So what kind of other use case sounds exciting, but in the end fail when it comes to commercial appliance? Like for example, if the data is maybe is not there, right? So
I get your point. So what I would say, personalized medicine. Yeah, this is a dream coming true if you think about it, that you have like at low cost, individually tailored medicine with literally no side effect. Couldn't be any better, right? And in reality, it's the case that in the what we call phase 1 trials, there are the substance or substance combination in the end, which are making getting confirmed or approved during the first trial phase, is significantly higher than the ones which are manually researched, so to say. But it's interesting to see that at the second stage, it's even the rejection rate is even higher from the ones which are generated by artificial intelligence compared to the manually researched ones. So this is definitely something which sounds great, but in the end, it's not as efficient yet as it could be, should be. I think this is something where we definitely will see a massive improvement in the upcoming years, but we are not there yet.
Yeah, I see. And when you say we are not there yet, it's because of data availability, that data is split into too many silos, or it's just the technology, or the
I would
return
say,
of investment?
I mean, this is $1 million question, George, because if I could answer this, I wouldn't be here.
I get it. Yeah.
No jokes aside. Tricky to answer. I think it's a combination of multiple factors. In the end, you also need to always find someone you could use for this kind of trial to test it out, if it not just works on paper, like the simulation works as you expect it to work, but if this is also working in a living organism. And this is then where more often the strategy breaks, so to say, because here we are not as good enough to really understand like all the components from our human body to really foresee if the substance combination is the right one or not.
Okay, I see. I get it. All right. So, gentlemen, we are coming slowly to the end. I would have only two last challenge questions for you, and then I will also let audience to ask you two questions. So, my first question would be, if you would advise a junior seller, right, to do, what would you advise a junior seller, for example, or we have new colleagues that is entering in this industry from the sales perspective? What would you advise him to do in the first two meetings with a lead or with a potential customer? What would be your advice? What focus on which part of the meeting?
Well, in general, you need to kind of figure out what the person's KPIs are, and then if Adastra is the right partner to help him fulfill it, right? Which is it is very general. I know it's like super generic. But I would say this is where you really create the momentum, right? You start asking questions, you start seeing if this way would be a potential to figure out and kind of like try and estimate the maturity of the client when it comes to data, right? So I have clients where having Power BI is a fancy thing. I have clients where Gen AI agents and a agentic system is a thing that's 1 year old within their company, right? So you need to see the maturity, see where there's potential, and try and help them where there's most leverage. So I would say this needs to happen for you to have a good sale.
I see. Okay.
Fully agree to that, Andre. Maybe an additional point, even if that sounds even more boring than than the other statement, building trust, because this industry is fully based on trust in the end, and you cannot go into a meeting telling them, guys, we know how it works. Yeah, we know how you should run your business. We know it best. I think, and I truly believe in that you need to build an atmosphere where the client feels heard in a way, opens up, talks about their own problems, and then you have a chance to step in and say, okay, let us take this problem now and let's analyze it, how we could maybe help you solving this problem and so on. I do not believe in going, kick in the door saying we have the ultimate solution for you, because for that kind of strategy, the entire industry is simply, it's not a unique, how you say that, like an industry where every company is literally at the same stage. Yeah, you have, for example, during the product development, one company could be, for example, having already a blockbuster product launched, and they're super successful in the market. So for them, use cases which increase the sales efficiency are more likely to resonate than for a company who is clearly focusing on the entire clinical trial process right now, and they do not care too much about the sales team, because for now they need to focus their resources on that clinical part only. That's why you need to always analyze where this company currently is, in what stage of the process, and then try to understand, okay, what are your pain points right now and how can we help there by building trust.
Yeah, I see. So would you say that the conversion from lead into customer, is it takes longer in this area than in other industries?
I would say yes.
Okay. All right. And the last question from my side, if you had to stop one common behavior that you see it with your customers, so to stop that common behavior that is wasting time in these data analytics programs for healthcare companies, what would it be?
Rather a wish, a more generic wish than a very industry-specific answer, but postponing decisions. And I think this is something everyone in this call might agree to for all of your clients, but this is the one I would name here.
I totally agree. I couldn't come up with a better answer.
Yeah, okay, I see. All right, so let's wrap up. We still have time for 2 questions from audience. So if someone has some questions, just please post it in the chat or raise the hand. Happy to take your questions. Please go ahead, Costa.
Hi, hello. Thank you for the discussion. I come from the pharmaceutical industry, so my question to you is, what do you believe about the most of the things that you was sharing with us was, I believe, was related to mid-size, let's say, pharmaceutical companies, because as far as I know and I understand that the big multinationals, they have specific divisions that they are dealing, and it's centrally the direction for any kind of, let's say, innovation is from central departments. So what is your thoughts about that? Because if we will speak about European or United States companies, pharmaceutical companies, some are in Switzerland, Germany, UK, and many in United States. How you approach this kind of, let's say, multinationals? What is your thoughts about that? And another thing, you discussed about data. I believe that the medical departments, and especially the clinical trials, let's say, departments, they have a lot of data uh, to process. And I agree with you that in case of, let's say, danger with the data is not only the reputation, but the fines for the pharmaceutical companies are quite big. So they are very, very careful on how to secure the data. Thank you.
So that's a great question. Thank you very much. So in general, from my perspective, right, selling from the Czech Republic, and this might be actually very different to the situation Jonas is in, because the addressable market here in the Czech Republic is 10 million people of the population, right? So for every medication, it's like at the max few million people, might be even hundreds, maybe tens, maybe even like tens of thousands, maybe even like a few thousands for each of the pharmaceutical drug, right? So I do come in contact, for example, with AstraZeneca, and where they're in contact on a global level. So luckily, we know the people that are Czech and made it to the global management, right? So we can speak to them on like the global level, but also then you have the local clients where they are heavily dependent on what the mother company, whether it's in Germany or anywhere else in the world, they make the decisions, right? So you really need to navigate and find a way how to help. But the good news is that you can help the clients locally, right? So maybe the mother company says, just do this and figure out the reporting, figure out everything else. We just want to make sure we have the distribution. But also we can get to the global level, right? So it's either you cooperate on a global level or on a local level. Or for example, I had a meeting with the CEO of Pfizer here in the Czech Republic, and they basically have everything so automated that the person doesn't even know, he doesn't even see a single invoice, right? And you just say, I don't know, it goes somewhere to New York or India. I don't even know where it goes. So you do have some cases like that, and either you have to get in touch with someone in Pfizer India or New York, or there's basically no chance. So that's pretty good to figure out as fast as possible. I hope that kind of answers the question.
Thank you. Jonas, would you like to add something on that, or?
Actually, Andre said
That's
pretty
pretty
much what I had in mind. Obviously, if you are working for a global organization with multiple regional affiliates, there is a different concept to that, because I do not believe in like having a global template. I have seen too many projects where this was simply not flying. So to have a regionalized template, so to say, or like a strategy you can adapt to a more, to a region like Europe, for example. You have one for the US, you have maybe one for LATAM, you have one for the APAC markets, just to name a few. That would make more sense. So the likelihood that we are getting one of those regional templates, or like being in charge of setting this up, is definitely higher than getting something on a very global level, because we need to be also realistic here. Ad Astra is not yet at the same size as a Deloitte or Accenture or whatever, who are usually competing at that level. But for regional regional initiatives, I definitely see Adastra in a very strong position to compete there as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. Another question from audience, or someone has something else? Then we can close this section and move to the demo part. All right. If no other questions, and thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jonas and Andre. Feel free to reach out to our Adastrans. Many thanks for support for this industry. I work on only one customers, one project in this industry in Germany. Customer is called Rentschler, and I know all the pain points that Andre and Jonas mentioned. We had 2 releases to production in 1 year. So this was the outcome using data platform. Now let's move forward to a demo related to this industry. So we'll continue sharing the screen. I'll share after that some interesting facts also that I found it. And let's move to the demo. So what are we going to demo in this section? So I'm right now here in Databricks, in my Databricks environment. By the way, for the one that haven't seen that before, so this is how Databricks UI looks like from the engineering perspective. And what we are going to train in this session, actually I've done it in parallel when starting the session, because it takes some time. We will going to train a model that can recognize pneumonia in X-rays. So I have a data set which contains 4,000, 5,000 of this kind of pictures, right? It's a public data set here. This kind of pictures related to pneumonia. And we want to train a model, a machine learning model that can say, okay, this is pneumonia or not. So there are two basic answers to this question, right? I have my own environment here, and we can. I first had to install some libraries to process this kind of information. And in this step here, I'm going to download all the data that is relevant from this data set. I need to have it on my compute power. And I'll save it in 2 folders, train set and test set. With the train set, I'm going to use these pictures. So it's like 80% of the pictures. I'm going to use it to train the model. So the model can learn patterns from those pictures, right? And with the test set, I'm going to test on this data set to say if or to check the accuracy of the model. So this is what I'm doing here in this pre-processing step. And what is important here is that you see all the pictures here are all verticals, right? Are all more or less the same. But in real life, this doesn't happen like this. So the image might be a little bit inaccurate, or might be a little bit with zoom in, or a little bit rotated. And this is what I'm doing here in the first place. So I took these pictures here that are all the same in vertical, right? In the vertical position. And I apply some randomness of zoom. For example, I apply here 2x zoom, or I rotate the picture a little bit so that it also simulate the real world examples. And then I'm going to train I'm going to define the training set and my test set. When it comes to the test set, we don't need to do that. I'm going to keep the image as they are. And we are going to use this technology called convolutional neural networks. Maybe you heard about neural networks from LLMs. This is more or less the same technology, neural networks, but at different scales, of course. This is the same technology that is behind LLMs, training LLMs, but at the different scale. In the next step, we are going to build these convolutional layers, and I want to explain you a little bit, not from the technical perspective, but how this kind of network work, right? And I have here a picture, and let's say in this picture, we have this input. We have a picture of this zebra, right? This is our input. But the compute power or the model doesn't see it as a picture, as a zebra, right? It doesn't understand this kind of concept. So what the model understands or the compute understands, they understand the numbers, or in this case, the pixels. So the model has to learn patterns from the pixels and not from the whole picture, like we are doing. If I see the zebra, I can recognize it right away. This is a zebra, but the model, the compute part, cannot do that. So what we are doing here, we are taking basically from this big picture only small parts of them, only small. Let's say first time we took this part, second time we took this part here, and we're building here this kind of layers where the input of the previous layer is where the output of previous layer is the input of the next layer. And at the end, so learning these kind of patterns repeatedly, the model can say at the end, okay, I have trust. I can trust that this is 70% a zebra, or 20% of course, or 10% is a dog. So this is what model predicted in this situation. And the same happens also with LLMs when they predict the next word. It's going through this kind of neural network layers, and in the end, it's predicting the next word. All right, so coming back to our use case, so our input would be one of these X-ray image. And this exactly happens here in the pooling. So in the pooling is happening exactly this one. We take one of this small piece of the image and try to figure it out and learn pattern from that, right? This is how we build here with Ed. We build these layers. And next, we are going to train this one here. We are going to train it. These are the parameters of the models. We are not going to go into details, but this binary cross entropy, for example, it's good for things like when you have only two variables to predict. For example, is email spam or is not spam? In this case, it's great because we just need to say it's pneumonia or it's not pneumonia, just like in the email spam. In the next step, because these are compute is consuming a lot of compute power, I'm saying here basically, hey, model, if in the training part you don't see after 3 repetitions, if you don't see any improvement, just stop, because it doesn't worth investing more compute power and more resources if after three trainings the model doesn't improve anymore. So, for example, the accuracy. All right, in the next part here, we are running the model, and you can see here how they started. So I gave here as input 5 epochs. This means it will train 5 times on the full data set that I gave, 5 times. This is usually low. So this number here for this data set should be around 25, but I wanted to give you this example. 25 will take a lot more time. And with 5, we already reach some good results, right? So this means that it will go through the whole data set 5 times and learn patterns from that. And you can see here in the output, in the first training, so it has like 131 steps. You can see here how the accuracy starts improving from step to step. For example, here this was only 26% accuracy. So he could detect a pneumonia with 26 accuracy. And then it starts improving. And at the end, after three training sets, it reached around 90%, right? 90%. And if we want to see the validations and the prediction, basically we can have something like this. So we predict here two answers, if it's normal or opacity. Opacity, it means it is pneumonia, right? So these 2 things we are predicting. And from the results, I'm going to plot here to return 8 of the predictions, and this looks something like this. This is the interesting part. So you can see here the model in the first one, predicting, okay, this picture, there's no pneumonia in it, and it predicts it also normal. But in the second one here, the model predicted that this image doesn't have pneumonia. The patient doesn't have pneumonia, but we predicted that it has pneumonia, right? So this is where the model fails, for example, and so on. The same here. This is another interesting case. This one here means that the model predicted, okay, I don't have pneumonia, I didn't found it, but in this situation, customer had pneumonia. So from this perspective, this would be more critical than the other one because we missed here, we missed pneumonia. If I just predicted here, I have pneumonia, but I'm good, the patient is good, it's not so critical, right? But if we missed here, then this might be a situation where a radiolog, for example, can have and assist here with analysis. And if we want to know how many of these we have, right, then we implement here what is called the confusion matrix. And the confusion matrix told us here, let's look at one example. So from our cases, we had 186 cases where we predicted normal and it was normal. So this is great, right? We had 353 cases where we predicted pneumonia and it was pneumonia. And we had 48 cases where we predicted pneumonia, but the customer was normal. So we didn't have that problem, which is not so good, but it's not critical. And these 37 cases are critical because we predicted the customer it's fine, but it had pneumonia in the end, right? So if you think from use case perspective, I'm a radiolog, let's say, instead of searching through thousands of pictures of X-rays, I can say, okay, how about the radiolog analyst only took a look at these 37 plus 48 cases, right? So this reduces, for example, the effort that people are putting it and analyzing those X-rays manually, because instead of focusing on 1,000, then maybe they can only focus on these 70 use cases. And this is how you can leverage here in this example, Databricks train a model on pictures, right? On pictures to spot this kind of things. So this is only for demo purpose. If we go into production, then we would have, for example, here, the model is logging every metric. For example, here, these metrics are relevant for the production use case, right? So right now in this demo, I didn't log any, but you usually see here metrics and how this evolve over time. So if the accuracy is degrading or is improving, so you need this kind of implementation for production. But I wanted to exemplify how this works in Databricks in a short demo. That was it for the demo. Let's go back to the presentation. We still have a couple of time left. Any questions to the demo part?
I have a short question. So
Please go ahead.
from the idea, this is something the customer should do itself, or is it something we should support the customer by fitting models to their use cases, or in which way you would think about it?
So this is a problem that where we should support them because we need first they need data engineering for that, right? So what kind of skills the customer needs for this kind of use case in production? First, you need a data engineer to bring the data to the platform, to ingest data from different sources, maybe those images are in different sources. Maybe those images needs a little bit more description or more kind of quality. So this is the data engineering part. Then once you have the data on the platform, you need the data science part. You need the people to understand this kind of libraries, TensorFlow, for example, in how to build this kind of neural networks. So the skills for that is data science, machine learning engineer, and for bringing to production, you need machine learning operations engineer. And this is where we can help them to do it, because some of them, they just don't have it. It's very engineering process here. Right? So data science, machine learning engineer, machine learning operations, plus data engineering from bringing data to the platform. And that's why it's very specific, because the data science usually needs to know, for example, what happens here if I choose some other activation than this ReLU function. This is a function here. Or what happens if I don't choose sigmoid here, but I have to choose another activation. For example, sigmoid is for binary outcome, like 1 or 0, like spam or no spam, right? And this kind of knowledge does the data science needs to have, right? Yeah, and of course they need to know the use case. So usually we'll work close to someone from customer side that understand the data and can relate. Yeah, this is true, because even if I see something opacity here, I cannot say if this is pneumonia or not. For example, I can sense maybe, right? So in the end, someone from customer side can tell, yeah, this was right. This is exactly what. Does this answer the question?
Yes, and I have another one. So this is now the code part, right? So, but what is the thing in the end if I'm a radiologist? What do I see? So is there a way to have some kind of application run on Databricks, or what would be the case?
Yeah, so usually so this is the model training, right?
Yeah.
But now once you are happy with the model and with the accuracy there, you can link an endpoint to this model and build an application on top of it. You can also build application on Databricks. So you have a UI there, and how actually the customer interacts with your application, right? Let's say I have a bunch of X-rays. I have 10 X-rays, right? I upload them into the application, and then I press start, for example, and the model starts doing the prediction on top of these new pictures that the model haven't seen it yet, right? Yeah, you can also put a GenAI on top of it, a GenAI or RAG application on top of it, if you want, for example, to link those pictures with some more descriptive information, like some information that you have from structured data from databases, maybe, like for example, you want to have a RAG application that can tell you, okay, for this clinical, give me the pneumonia rate, right? So you can ask in natural language for that specific clinic, which is structured data, right? What is the pneumonia rate? And you can compare it with other clinicals, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can be very creative from here. This is just the foundation, right? And you can link this model to your RAG application or your web application interface. You can host it in the cloud, and RAG application you can also build on Databricks. Actually, I'll do a demo on RAG application on Databricks to see to show you how this works.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
All right, so this was the demo. Let's go back to the presentation. We still have a couple of minutes. So Jonas and Andre mentioned here we have some systems, right, where the data resides in this industry. But what are those systems? You have here the so-called electronic health record, right? This is a clinical system, and this stores the complete digital patient record used by hospital or physicians, for example. So this is a slide for you. You can check in later when you you have the slides. Because in some customer meetings, they might talk about LIMS, for example. Customer just use abbreviation, right? Oh yeah, we have that information in our LIMS systems, so no worries about that, right? What is actually LIMS? So LIMS is storing lab workflows. So what happens in that laboratory and the test results, the samples. These are very important systems for biopharma, for example, when they build new proteins, for example. So this kind of workflows are important. They are critical for genomic analytics, drug discovery, diagnostics. So I put it here so that the most important, so that you heard about them and understand a little bit what is behind of them. Then here a couple of more use cases, split it into healthcare, so patient care, and healthcare operations. So operations more focused on the operational activities like management of the staff or resource planning or the cost optimization. Patient care is more focused on the improvement of the patient outcomes. And then we have life cycles and life science and pharma. And these are a couple of use cases. So predictive disease risk and population health management. Usually here the outcome should be improve patients' life, right? And the legacy healthcare system usually analyze historical data only. They cannot integrate with more data from clinical records, for example, or claims. And this is how Databricks also can help. So the business outcome, reduce hospital readmission, for example, early clinical intervention, and improve patient survival and recovery rates. This is something important. Personalized medicine and precision care. This is the one that Jonas mentioned. This would be a real improvement. I mentioned here no chatbot can help with customer frustration or patient frustration in this kind of situations. How Databricks helps, how you can do that. We would just train a model, right? Here, also on X-rays. And usually the traditional data warehouse cannot integrate this kind of data. We talk about here about images. We talk about biomedical literature, where you need maybe a RAG application that can answer this kind of specific question. Claims analytics and fraud detection. So yeah, fraud detection in this industry is also a use case because this involves claims and insurance. And this happens actually often. I put here an interesting report if you want to take a look later to check what's behind this use case. So it analyzes large claims data set, detect anomalies in the data set, maybe automate the claim verification. So instead of the insurer focusing on thousands of claims, they are just focusing on the one that are more suspicious, right? And this reduces fraud losses and faster claim processing. Healthcare interoperability, because data needs also to be shared between systems and teams. For example, that the healthcare data is extremely fragmented across system, EHR system, laboratory system. This is the LIMS one that I showed you later. Images, public database, public health databases. How do you bring this together? You build a unified data platform. This is where Databricks can help with. AI-driven drug discovery, as Jonas and Andre mentioned, so delivery or developing a new therapy typically requires 10, 15 years of research and a lot of investments. Now you can imagine if at the end of these 15 years, you don't have that success that you expected, this incurs a lot of loss, right? And this drug discovery is slow, expensive, and high risk. And they need to analyze massive data sets about genomic proteins, for example, literature, and some clinical data. I put here also a report, a very interesting one, if you want to take a look at. And these traditional systems that Some companies have it right now. They cannot integrate with genomics, protein data, for example, clinical data on the same platform. So this slows down. You can do that on Databricks. Apply AI to discover drug targets and molecular interactions. You can accelerate from the technology perspective, this process. Of course, there's still the trial period at the end and the regulatory, but at least the technology is there for faster target discoverability and reduce R&D costs. What was the use case behind of it is that you basically can experiment faster with the combinations. And clinical trial optimization. So clinical trials are also the largest bottleneck in the drug development. So in the same process before, but at the end, when you have a product right now and you want to test it on some trials, and this finding the right trial people is a bottleneck in this drug development. Because challenges include slow patient recruitment, complex global trial coordination, because when you do trials, it needs to be on a diverse data set, right? It needs to be done maybe at the global level to be tested on multiple people coming from multiple regions, multiple culture, and stuff like this. And this is why only 10-15% of drug candidates entering clinical trials receive regulatory approval. How Databricks can help here? So integrating those data might help with faster clinical trials. Machine learning models can increase patient enrollment by 10-20% and predict the trial performance earlier. I also put here a link, an interesting one. You have time to check it if you are interested in how this actually works. Yeah, when it comes to Gen AI, I have some numbers here. So the market research shows that 91% of healthcare organizations are investing or starting with Gen AI, including LLMs. And we're going to see exactly where they are using it. It's not different than what Jonas and Andre said, where they are using it. A 60% rate of adoption of AI, and 76 plan to grow or invest more in this technology. And where they are using it in patient experience and support. So offering more support and greater experience. Healthcare operations, so maybe reducing cost, quality compliance, medical affair, product service innovation, and automation and staff productivity. So these are the top ones right now. Where Gen AI is used. So we're talking only about Gen AI. Machine learning is used pretty broad also in drug discovery and more closer to the products or to the medication itself. But Gen AI right now only in these parts because like Jonas mentioned about reputation, right? So if we take a look at this picture about Gen AI, so most companies started here when it comes to Gen AI. Employee handbook, maybe they have a reg application on top of it. They have marketing, promotional, and content. So this kind of non-critical application where they could test the technology, but that doesn't have an impact on the output or on the patient itself. So this is where the companies are now. And they're moving slowly to RAG application for call center support, knowledge management. And the next step in this complexity would be to fine-tune their own model on the RAG. So they have some more specific application or technology that they can answer more specific question related to the use case. And the last one would be this fine-tuning. Yeah, the fine-tuning. So you can see here not only the complexity grows, but also the trust. So Once we reach this step here, okay, we trust them by giving some information, some PDF. On this part, we trust them about knowledge management. We trust about answering relevant question about some generic medical literature. So the trust also increase. We start with this one here, and here we start fine-tuning and pre-training our own model, which is actually costly, of course. Yeah. One example here, radiology protocoling, something that was also related to us. Yeah, related to our use case, radiology administration is very costly actually. And the radiologists are usually not paid so much. It's an industry here, and the automating protocol label can help radiologists to focus on critical patient and eliminate the manual methods or methods of assigning labels to a case history that was pretty clear. For example, the more like we said, we have it in our use case. Instead of focusing on analyzing thousands of X-rays, they can only focus on the 80-70% that really matters on those situations. All right, so that was it from this part. One last slide to mention here: this stakeholder mapping. So who are the buyers usually in this industry? Who are the influencers? And this really maps with what Jonas and Andre said. So the buyers are more from the business part here. You can see here chief medical officer, financial officer, and the influencer are also coming from more the technology part. Might be the chief data officer that is responsible for the technology part of the solution, but also more people from the medical or industry specific. And the practitioners are the people who are using that data platform maybe, or that machine learning model. Usually beside data engineers and machine learning engineers, you have bioinformatics and genomics scientists, clinical researchers, healthcare economists or analysts. So these are the practitioners that can validate use cases in that situations. All right, any questions to this part? And then we can close the session. All right, then we can close the session on the healthcare. Many thanks for joining the session. If you still have questions after that, feel free to reach out to me, to Jonas, to Andre, with regards to the industry and to Databricks. We can also build demos for customers. So if you have someone there, please let us know, and we can create something for them, something interesting. And happy to see you in the next section. Thank you very much, guys. Have a wonderful start in the week. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, George. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.